What's up, guys? Andrew here, back at you with another one. And if you thought 1986 was wild, wait till you see my list of my favorite movies from 1987. It's coming at you now on Drew Reviews. Alright, guys, so back in January, I made a video of my favorite movies of the year 1986, which was a really big year in movies. 1987, as far as huge movies, was a little bit of a step down. I mean, you didn't have that Top Gun or that Aliens, in my opinion, but you did have a lot of really good stuff kind of there in the middle, and we're going to get into it. Just a small disclaimer for you here. While I'll admit that movies like Full Metal Jacket, I enjoy the first half of that. It's almost like two different movies. Um, and Wall Street and the Untouchables. While those are great movies, you're not going to see them on my list. I like sci-fi and action and horror. You're actually going to see a couple of comedies on this list. So stick with me to the end. I'm going to stay true to this channel in my picks. So let's get to it. Coming in at fifth place is a movie that I just absolutely love, and it's the first comedy I'm ever really going to kind of talk about on this channel, and it's Raising Arizona by the Coen brothers. I haven't really got the chance to talk about the Coen brothers, but I love so many of their movies, whether it's The Big Lebowski, which is one of my favorites of all time, or Fargo, or Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? They've made so many good movies that it's impossible to leave them off a list like this. And it actually edged out a really good cult movie that you would expect to see on a Drew Reviews list. I love Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2, and I think it's a great movie, and I had it in that number 5 slot, and I thought, oh no, Raising Arizona came out that year. And to me, that's one of Nicolas Cage's best performances. It's so great, so funny. In the beginning of that movie, he gets arrested so many times that he falls in love with the police photographer. It's hilarious. It's got one of the best chase scenes of all time, where he's got the Huggies under his arm. He's getting chased not only by cops, but, by dogs and by people with guns. And it's so good, and I couldn't leave it off this list. And I feel like in the Coen brothers canon, so many people forget about Raising Arizona. And a small side story here. After I'd graduated high school, of course, I've got a channel of my own, so I was a little bit of a drama nerd. I took a couple years of drama in high school, did a couple of school plays and everything. And after I got out, for a few years, I actually became a judge in like drama competitions. And I can remember one year, there was this young couple that did the scene from Raising Arizona where, the whole Huggy scene, and she picks them up in the car and they're having an argument. And, between Holly Hunter and Nicolas Cage. And of course, they ended up winning first place, on my docket. And that was just great. So as much of a hot take as that might have been, and as much as I love Evil Dead 2, I'd almost call these a tie, but I like Raising Arizona just a smidge more. My number 4 movie of 1987 is one of the greatest buddy cop movies of all time. And that's the original Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. I don't know how you could leave that off a list like this. There's so many great actors in that movie, where you've got Gary Busey, in a supporting role, and Dr. Chalice, Tom Atkins, the original panty dropper. Love that movie so much. It's got so much good action in it. Excuse me, Mr. Sniper, sir. It's just, and when he talks that guy down, off that ledge, I can't get enough of Lethal Weapon. I like the second one almost as much as I like the first, so there's probably a spoiler for if I do a 1989 list right there. And of course, that movie spawned a franchise that would go, maybe 4 movies up till now, and I actually really like 3 of those. So yeah, Lethal Weapon is my 4th favorite movie of 1987. We're moving on. So my number 3 movie on this list was the hardest one to nail down, because I knew what my number 1 was from the get-go. And this 3rd favorite movie of 1987 is one I just watched this year. If you've watched any of my reviews here lately, you know what this movie's going to be, just by me giving you that much. And there was a stalwart there at number 2, and it's like, is this movie as good as that one? And I think it almost is, but I'm going to give the nod to that original number 2. So my number 3 on the list is The Hidden. I couldn't quite put it over the next one. Man, I love this movie. It's got everything I want in a movie like this: sci-fi, the action. It's got the buddy cop thing like Lethal Weapon has, but I think while those characters are very well defined, these characters have a very different dynamic, and I love it. Um, I am so glad I discovered this movie. Me and Brandon Smith over on Macho Movie Madness actually recorded a commentary for this about a month ago, and YouTube just instantly blocked it. So not going to get to hear that. But I can't praise this movie enough. If you're watching this review and you've not seen this movie, do yourself a favor and go buy the Blu-ray. It's not on any streaming service. Go check it out right now. Uh, Michael Nouri, Kyle MacLachlan. There's a really good cast of bit players in this too. Uh, just a great alien coming to Earth and taking over a body, and these cops trying to chase it down. Great movie, The Hidden. Check it out, and that's why it's here at number 3. So the movie that The Hidden almost beat out, that I knew was my number 2 for a long time, and this is actually the steelbook of this movie, and of course that's RoboCop. This movie has everything. It's got action, it's got sci-fi, it's got some great humor and satire in it. With the commercials, cars with the 6,000 SUX or whatever it was. Um, RoboCop is a great film. Forget, just great action movie. RoboCop is a great film. But Peter Weller, Buckaroo Banzai might have got him some exposure, to the cult fans, but this is the movie that really blew open the doors for him. He went on to do a whole lot more cultish type movies like Leviathan and Screamers, both of which I really like. Um, Naked Lunch, which is also just an odd movie, but I really like him in this. He does a great job taking what could be just a silly character and really giving it life. The villain of Clarence Boddicker is one of my favorite movie villains of all time. Just give me my Evan phone call, and just the stuff with the gun where they're shooting his hand off, and him and his thugs. Great hero, great villains. Even the yuppies in this, the way they fight back and forth, they're amazing. And I love the character development in this. I love, RoboCop is literally a knight in shining armor in some of those scenes. It's very symbolic, and that's why RoboCop is my second favorite movie of 1987. Before we get to my top movie of 1987, I'd like to list some honorable mentions. Of course, I was talking about Evil Dead 2, and that really should be 5B instead of 6. But some others I'd like to mention are this one right here, John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. Just a very underrated movie, and not enough people talk about this as far as one of John Carpenter's really good ones. Very atmospheric. It's got, there's no real A-list stars in this, aside from, Donald Pleasance, who was kind of on the tail end of his career there. But just a great cast of characters, Victor Wong and the guy from Simon and Simon, and Alice Cooper, of course, is on the cover. He makes an appearance in this as a homeless derelict, I wouldn't call it a fun movie, but it's definitely a good dark movie. Definitely check this one out. Another honorable mention for me would be The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just a great story. This dystopian thing. They took this Stephen King story and brought it to life. With Richard Dawson from The Family Feud, and I guess he wasn't that far removed from that Damon Killian character, and I really like that. It's just a fun, dark dystopian type movie. I can't get enough of those. Two other honorable mentions for me, and I'll just go through them real quick. Um, of course, The Princess Bride is a classic, and I got to see it at actually my local theater here in town. I didn't even have to drive, 90 minutes to go see that one on the big screen. I think whatever movie they were showing that week didn't show up, so they're just like, hey, we're going to show The Princess Bride for free. Just come in and see it and buy some popcorn and stuff. And so I got to see that on the big screen. That was pretty cool. The other one that I would throw in the list is A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. It's just an iconic piece of late 80s pop culture. Freddy Krueger was becoming it as far as a slasher. Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers, he had surpassed them by that point. And, you've got the Dawkins song, which I've kind of covered here on the channel, a little bit of anyway. And just a great movie. I like the original Nightmare just a little bit more. If I do a list of 84, it might be on there. That's a big year. But as far as 87, I had to throw the Dream Warriors on there. It's just so good. So that brings us to my number one movie of 1987. And if you didn't have any idea by looking at me in this video, it's this one right here. I don't know how it could be anything, knowing what I watch and what I review on this channel, how it could be anything besides Arnold Schwarzenegger's Predator. Just such a good action movie. The guys in Aliens, they're trying to be macho when they're up in that drop ship, but the guys in Predator are just screaming macho, whenever they're in that chopper. And you got Jesse the Body Ventura with that sexual Tyrannosaurus line. You've got Schwarzenegger with his stogie. These characters are so well defined in this movie, and they meet such grisly demises, especially Ventura. Gets his stomach blown out and everything. You just don't expect that to happen to these characters, especially the way they take out that enemy encampment. In the beginning of the film, for this alien creature just to hunt them down one by one and slaughter them so easily. And as I've said before, Arnold Schwarzenegger's acting in the last act of this movie, where he's covered in mud, and in some of those dark scenes, all you can see is the white of his eyes. That's some of the best acting he's ever done. He looks so scared, and it's such a different look for Arnold that I can't help but applaud that. Some of his finest acting ever. Kevin Peter Hall as the Predator, his performance can't be appreciated enough, for what he did in this giant prosthetic suit. The way he's slowly taking that apparatus off, and the air's coming out of there, and he takes that mask off, and we finally see what's underneath. This movie is like the ultimate macho movie. And I like Predator 2 quite a bit. Prey, the one that came out last fall, I did a review on that. You can find that on this channel. It's one of my first videos, so it's kind of cringy for me to watch, But the rest of the Predator sequels, I can take or leave them. But this is the one that started it all. This is the one I love. And I'm going to review this sometime this summer, because this is, just a big, dumb summer action flick. This, to me, is Arnold Schwarzenegger probably at his peak. Anywhere from here to Terminator 2. I'd even go Last Action Hero, because me and my friend Brandon Smith, we both think that movie's just so underrated and underappreciated by everybody. That's another video for another time. So guys, let me know what you think about my list of my favorite films from 1987. This was a little harder than 86. In 86 you had those really big movies. In here, you had a lot of movies that were a little closer together as far as rating wise in my eyes. And so, I knew what my number one and two, I knew what my number one was. I found out what my number two was. I'm still not entirely comfortable with that decision, but I'll live with it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Was I right putting Raising Arizona ahead of Evil Dead 2? I don't know, but I know how much I love both of those movies, and I love Raising Arizona quite a bit. So guys, if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell notification and everything. I'm dropping content usually every Friday, so be on the lookout for that. And as always, it's sci-fi, action, and horror. I'm going to try to throw in a little comedy. It's just, to me, comedy is kind of hard to review because you just want to laugh at it. But anyway, yeah, until next time, I'm Andrew, and I'll see you down the line.